All right, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us live. Today's live is for anyone who is breaking into the industry, into medical billing or medical coding, especially if you have no prior healthcare experience or possibly you're looking for your first job, right? You're interviewing, or maybe you're not getting interviews, or maybe you're getting interviews and not getting job offers. And then also, if you're wondering about what jobs are actually beginner friendly that you should be applying for. So we're going to be covering those topics as well as answering your questions. So feel free to put your questions and comments in the chat as we go. So if you are new here, my name is Kiana Craig. I am a certified professional coder, certified professional biller, an AAPC approved instructor, and a healthcare revenue cycle professional with over 2 decades of experience. I'm the owner of Ask the Biller, which is a licensed APC approved education provider where we train medical billers. We teach training. We teach medical billing as well as how to obtain your medical billing certification and how to break into the industry. And I'm definitely excited to share with you guys and provide some guidance today. And I'm also a wife and a boy mom. So I am joined today with my good friend and colleague, Natasha Miller. Natasha, please introduce yourself.
Yes, good evening, everyone. We are so excited to do this with you all tonight. I am Natasha C. Miller, also known as the Medical Mompreneur. I have been in healthcare now over 26 years. I'm the founder and CEO of NCM Healthcare. I'm also a professor for community college. And recently I started back my journey in school. So I'm a doctoral student. So a lot of great things going on. But like I mentioned, been in healthcare now over 26 years. And one of my passions has been to help women and moms get into the industry as a medical coder, medical biller, and to help you to get certified to pass your national certification. And so, like Kiana mentioned tonight, we're going to talk about breaking into medical billing and coding with no experience, beginner jobs, and why you're not getting hired. So I'm going to pass back to Kiana. We're going to start with our first question. And then if you have questions, put them in the chat. We would love to be able to answer your questions as well. Oh, you're on mute, Kiana. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Mhm.
let's start with the biggest concern that we hear, which is how do you break into the medical billing and coding industry with no prior experience? And I want to say this clearly that no experience does not mean no opportunity because everyone in the industry was once a beginner, right? We all have to start somewhere, especially, us as well. We all have to start somewhere. So experience has to start somewhere, and employers know that. So I think what they're most looking for is that you have proof of understanding the fundamentals, which are the basics. And for medical billing, that's going to include understanding the various insurance payers. It's going to include the various claim forms, the different code sets, compliance basics, and definitely workflows. So if you don't have any experience, this is where your education and your training and your certification is extremely important and will have to speak for you. And I do want to be honest, your first position is likely not to be, your dream role, okay? But entry level doesn't mean forever. It means entry. So keep that in mind. And if you're feeling discouraged because you don't have any experience yet, it doesn't mean that you're behind, okay? It just means that you're at the starting line. So keep that in mind as well. Natasha, I know you get this question a lot as well. So
I
what are your
do. Yes. Yes, and as a coder and someone that is new, this is a question that I get a lot. How can I get into the industry with no experience? Or maybe you've gone through a program, you're recently certified. And so in the industry, it's not that they're not looking for new coders. What they're not looking for is to take on a risk, right? So, how can you get into the industry without any experience? You need to make sure that you proof yourself. And what do I mean by that? Right. So you show up showing your guidelines, your ICD 10 CM guidelines, your CPT guidelines. Do you know how to use your modifiers correctly? Right. Understanding what is medical necessity. So when you can make yourself experience proof, to show, yes, I'm new, but I know the guidelines. I passed the national certification exam, the CPC, for example, for the coding, right? That positions yourself to say, I may not have experience, but I've gone through this 4-hour exam. I know how to code. I know how to pass the certification. I can come in and take your coding assessment if need be. So you have to show up with the proof. And the proof is in knowing your guidelines, understanding your modifiers, understanding what is medical necessity, and then being comfortable with knowing how to actually code out charts as well. And so I'll give you a little tip. So, like for example, if you have no experience, you've never worked in a coding position before, right? But you're someone that has gone through a program, then you need to go back through all of those coding exercises you received from your program and work those daily as if you're actually working a job until you are hired. That's going to allow you to begin to be more confident, and you will be able to start showing, oh, I can code with accuracy. And that allows you to go out there to apply for those positions and show the experience that you have. So I'm gonna pause there, Kiana, to see, do we have questions coming in? And if you want to take it from there as well.
Yes, yes. Let's get to
Mhm.
the first question coming
Okay.
in from Faith B 9566. She asked, is it possible to get a job in the field before completing the exam? I'll just answer first. For medical billing,
Mhm.
the medical billing certification, and we're referring to the APC CPB, is not a requirement for most opportunities, I would say. In medical billing, you will obviously definitely see it for some opportunities, but it's typically not a requirement. So for medical billing, yes, you can
Mhm.
obtain billing opportunities before completing the certification exam. Now, as for coding, it's a little bit different. Natasha, you want to touch on that?
Yes. So for coding, I've seen this go both ways. I've seen this where someone is already working, possibly in a healthcare position for organization, and they're looking for them to become certified. So that's allowing them to receive a coding position before they receive their certification. But then if you're just brand new, a lot of times they do want to see you have that certification. That is a requirement. They're looking for you to have, for example, the CPC, right? So you can find positions before completing your exam, but it might not necessarily be a actual full coding position. There are a lot of other positions, and we're going to talk about those shortly and what those look like. Um, or you can also find yourself applying for building positions, front desk positions. There's other positions. So it just depends on the route that you're going and how you're going about it. I've seen it happen before, but if you're just brand new, then you want to position yourself up to have that certification before you're even applying for those coding roles.
Okay, and that was a great question as we segue
Hmm.
into the next topic. So let's talk
Yes.
about roles that are actually beginner friendly. And on the billing side, beginner friendly roles are going to include registration, verifying eligibility and benefits, and possibly charge entry and claims follow up. So you may not be submitting claims right away, but you will be learning how claims move throughout the system, and the foundation is extremely important. And also, what I recommend is not getting too hung up on the job title, because I often get asked, what titles should I be searching for? But what's most important, I would say, is reading the job description and seeing what you'll actually be doing on a day to day basis. So, different employers are going to use different titles, but the job description will clearly show whether the role involves billing related work. All right. And also, I do want to point out that you shouldn't disqualify yourself before the employer does. That tends to happen a lot. So if you meet, 60% or 70% of the requirements, go for it and definitely apply, because job descriptions are usually just a wish list, right? And employers rarely find someone who checks off every single box of that wish list. So let them decide. Natasha, do you want to chime in here on the coding side?
Yes, on the coding side, and so we're talking about jobs for beginners that you should be applying for. So you want to be looking for outpatient profi coding positions. Sometimes it will say profi or professional coding. Those are the type of roles. Or also risk adjustment coding. So you can see the roles say risk adjustment or HTC coding. You also, as a coder, can be looking for biller roles that cross over into coding. So you can possibly see some where you're doing both billing and coding. Also, for new beginners, you want to look for roles that are more so production coding. And what I mean by production coding is where you're working in work queues. That is more entry level base work, where you actually go into a EHR, so let's just say Epic, for example, and they have what is known as work queues. In those work queues, you could be working where you have to identify what's wrong with the code. Maybe it's missing a modifier, for example. Maybe the diagnosis is not fully valid, for example. So you're looking for those entry level positions. Also, you can look for contract or project based coding positions. I did see someone in the chat mention something about looking for part time coding, and part-time coding can be hard to come by, but a lot of times you'll find that more so in contract positions where you can work on a contract for a short term, or that contract can be for a year, for example, depending what it is. Contract can be, I want you to work 10 to 20 hours per week or maybe more. So those are different type of roles that you can find. And when you're looking for these roles, keywords to look up, as I mentioned, you want to be looking for the words that can say, for example, outpatient, or it can say professional fee or pro fee, for example, or it can say queue or work queue, for example. And also put in keywords such as CPC or CPT or ICD-10-CM. Being general sometimes can help you to find a lot of different positions that you're not even thinking of, because they can title them different titles. So that's something to be mindful of. As a new coder, what you should not necessarily be looking for is inpatient roles, right? Or auditing positions, or even specialty roles, for example, like cardiology, right? You want to really be looking for roles where you can get your foot in the door, get that experience, and then move on to the next thing for you. So hopefully that's helpful.
Definitely. All right. So now let's talk about why you may not be getting interviews or job offers. So, one of the biggest issues I would probably say are generic resumes, resumes that are not being tailored to medical billing or medical coding roles, resumes that are not including keywords from the job description and that don't show what you actually know. So you can fix this by definitely tailoring your resumes. You want to highlight the knowledge that you have, definitely any softwares that you have exposure to, any certifications that you have obtained or that you're currently working on and that are in progress. And then if you're getting interviews, but you're not getting job offers, definitely remember that confidence matters. The employers can train you on skills, but they can't train you on mindset. So you definitely want to think about that. Many candidates apologize for their lack of experience instead of taking that valuable time during the interviews to highlight their education, highlight the training that they've received, the certifications that they earned, and their willingness to learn. So going to interviews, smiling and being enthusiastic about the potential opportunity and being confident in what you do know. Okay, so you don't need to know everything. None of us knows everything. Natasha and I have both been in the industry for, combined probably over 4 decades, and we still don't know everything. So you don't have to know everything. They don't expect you to know everything, but you do have to show that you are teachable and detail oriented. So if you're not getting interviews yet, it doesn't mean that this career isn't for you. It just means that, some things may need to be adjusted. So Natasha, would you like to add to that?
Yes, thank you, Kiana. Great information. So most resumes, and I'm going to speak more towards the CPC, the coding. Most resumes, they fail because they do not show employers what they actually care about. So for example, you're not showing the employer about your accuracy, about productivity, if you have that, about compliance, about revenue protection. So you want to make sure that your resume is actually showing the employer what you care about and what's important. Employers want to see if you do have that experience with coding accuracy. And let's just say if you don't have that experience, speak to what the experience is you have from going to school. Speak to your experience of your guidelines. Speak to your experience of knowing your payer knowledge, like Kiana has mentioned. Speak to your experience of knowing and having the experience of EHR. Do you have any of that experience you use possibly within school? A lot of schools give you some type of practice of that, right? So you want to make sure that your resume aligns with that. Also, they just don't want to see your certifications or your soft skills. Your resume must speak to the operations and not just necessarily the education, right? That's so important. You want to go into your interviews with problem solving skills. So, what do I mean by that? Do you know how to go in and tell me about a time when you worked with a challenging coworker? How did you handle that, right? So you need to know the STAR method. You need to be able to speak to the STAR method and also go in ready to answer questions as it pertains to coding. So it's not so much, oh, I need to memorize a code. But if they ask the question, where can you find in your CPT manual office visit codes? You need to be able to speak to that, right? So you will be able to say, I can find that in my evaluation and management section of my CPT manual. So having your manuals with you as well in your interviews can help. Asking those that are interviewing you, is it okay to take notes as I am interviewing? And then also be mindful, the interview is just not for you, but you're interviewing them to see if this is a great fit for yourself as well. So those are some tips. Hopefully that's helpful. I have a lot of tips on interviewing and resumes, but I'm gonna stop there for now.
Yes, and we did go through the top, three topics that we wanted to cover tonight. But I see that someone in the chat actually asked a question about the bonus topic that we have for you guys today. So I'm going to highlight that from H. Baker 565. Do you feel that AI will be taking over the medical billing and medical coding completely? So yes, that's a topic that continuously comes up every single day. AI and medical billing and coding. There's a lot of fear around this topic. Many people are worried that AI is going to replace medical billers and medical coders. But the truth really is that technology has always changed healthcare. And yet billers and coders, we're still here and we're still very much in demand. So Natasha, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
I do, yes. And so AI is not going to replace us as certified coders, certified billers. What AI does is AI suggests codes, for example. AI can help in coding, which is great because that helps with productivity. But what AI cannot do, AI cannot defend the code. So AI cannot go in, for example, and audit. AI cannot go in and have that compliance. So we may shift as coders more so from production coders, but more so to auditors, reviewers. So that's why I'm speaking really heavy on making sure you know your guidelines. Do you understand how to speak to your guidelines to providers? Share that information, educate your providers, right? So we can shift some in our roles, but we're not going anywhere. We're going to always be needed. So we're needed to understand guidelines, compliance, and documentation. That's going to always be in demand. So if you are questioning or wondering, is this the right path? Yes, it's the right path for you because you've already decided to do it. But you're going to have to shift your mindset from just production coding, and now it's going to time to up your mindset to compliance. Compliance is what is needed. We are needed as auditors to be able to go in and I'm going to speak more to for the coders. You got to go in and look at that documentation. So even if AI is helping to code it, you got to go back behind them to see, did they code it correctly? You got to still go back and help the providers to see, are they documenting correctly? Are they picking up the codes correctly? So we are definitely going to be needed.
Absolutely, yes. It's not something to fear. It's definitely something that we need to learn to work alongside, right? And instead of asking how, if AI is going to take over our jobs completely, I think it's, a better question to ask how we can work along with it and how it can help us in helping us do a better job. Helping us to work faster and to work smarter, helping us to reduce errors. All right. So AI is definitely going to be supporting our workflows, but as Natasha mentioned, humans, we are still still the decision makers at the end of the day. So it won't be completely replacing us. It may replace, some jobs, change the way that we do things, but billers and coders are still going to be very much in demand and very much needed. Let's see, I saw another question that I wanted to highlight, and we'll get into this in a moment, but we did want to talk about how you guys can stay connected with us. So definitely subscribe to the channels, right? Subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Natasha's channel. Getting very close to 20,000 subscribers, which is very exciting. So subscribe. I post a daily medical billing quiz question under the post tab. So be sure to check that out daily. You can visit my website, justaskthebiller.com. Details are there for anyone interested in medical billing training or medical billing certification. And as Flowing with Waves asked about the CPB certification process, I'm actually hosting a free 90-minute CPB review on Wednesday, February 11 from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. I'm actually going to put the registration link right in the chat because we don't have time to go over all that tonight, but I'm going to do a free 90-minute review on Wednesday, February 11th. So just use that link and register, and be sure to also share it with your billing and coding besties because this is free and it's also AAPC approved for 1.5 CEUs. So any of your certified friends will be able to earn CEUs. Natasha, do you want to share what you have coming up and how they can stay in contact with you?
Yes. So if you are looking to take your CPC for the first time, or maybe you've taken it and you haven't passed, I do have a CPC assessment readiness quiz that is available for you. And within this quiz, you get 20 CPC questions that's going to help tailor to see if you're ready. I actually test my clients, my students, 85% or higher, but you'll have plenty of time to see if you're ready. You need a 70% or higher to pass your national exams. So I'll provide that link in the chat for you. Also, if you are just still wondering about the career in medical billing and coding, I have an excellent on-demand webinar that you can have access to and be able to play and watch at any time. I'll put both of those links in the chat. So again, if you're taking your CPC exam anytime soon, or you need a refresher, or even if you've taken it and you just want some additional practice questions, this CPC exam allows you to take it online. You get your feedback right away, as well as if you don't pass, you get to keep retaking it until you pass. And then if you're someone just trying to figure out, is this a great career for you? I do have an on-demand webinar that you can watch that will help you to decide if medical billing and coding is a great career for you. I'm also on Instagram at Medical Mompreneur. Like Kiana mentioned, subscribe to our YouTube channels. I'm not at 20,000 quite yet, but I know I'm going to get there, Kiana. So everyone can subscribe to both our channels. And then also I'm going to put my website link in the chat as well if you just want to just get to know me a little bit more. So I'm going to provide the CPC readiness exam quiz in the chat for everyone. And then also you're going to see shortly the on-demand webinar that's going to come as well.
Yes, all of our contact information is in the chat. All of our information is now in the chat. So please stay connected. Thank you guys so much for spending time with us today. If you found it helpful, please like and share the live with others who may find it helpful. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you so much.